Chapter 69 Unwinds. There's a sprawling ranch in West Texas. The money to build it came from that oil that had long since dried up, but the money remained and multiplied. Now there's a whole compound, an oasis as green as a golf course in the middle of flat, wild plains. This is where Harlan Dunphy grew to the age of 16, finding trouble along the way. He was arrested for disorderly behavior twice in Odessa, but his father, a big shot admiral, got him off both times. The third time, his parents came up with a different solution. Today is Harlan Dunphy's 26th birthday. He's having a party of sorts. There are hundreds of guests at Harlan's party. One of them is a boy by the name of Zachary. His friends know him as Empy. He's been living there at the ranch for some time now. Waiting for this day, he has Harlan's right lung. Today, he gives it back to Harlan. At the same time, 600 miles to the west, a wide-bodied jet lands in an airplane graveyard. The jet is full of crates, and each crate contains 4 unwinds. As the crates are opened, a teenage boy peers out of one. Not sure what to expect, he's faced by a flashlight, and when the flashlight lowers, he can see that it's not an adult who opened the crate, but another kid. The kid wears khaki clothes and smiles at him, showing braces on a set of teeth that don't seem to need them. "Hi, my name's Hayden, and I'll be your rescuer today," he announces. "Is everyone safe and sound in there?" "We're fine," says the young unwind. "Where are we?" "Purgatory," says Hayden, also known as Arizona. The young unwind steps out of the crate, terrified of what might be in store for them. He stands in a processional of kids being herded along, and, against Hayden's warning, bangs his head on the door of the closed cargo hold as he steps out. The harsh light of the day is as blistering heat assaults him as he walks down the ramp to the ground. He can tell this is an airport, and yet there are planes everywhere. In the distance, a golf cart rolls toward them, kicking up a plume of red dust. The crowd falls silent as it approaches. As it comes to a stop, the driver steps out. He's a man with serious scars over half of his face. The man speaks quietly for a moment with Hayden and addresses the crowd. It's then that the young unwind realizes this is not a man, but another kid. One not much older than himself. Perhaps it's the scars on his face that make him look older, or maybe it's just the way he carries himself. "Let me be the first to welcome you to the graveyard," he says. "Officially, my name is E. Robert Mullard," he says, "but everyone calls me Connor." The Admiral never returned to the graveyard. His health would not allow it. Instead, he is at his family's Texas ranch in the care of his wife who left him years before. Although he's weak and can't get around well anymore, he hasn't changed much. "The doctors say only 25% of my heart is still alive," he tells anyone who asks. "It'll do." What has kept him alive more than anything else is the prospect of Harlan's big party. You could say that those terrifying stories about Humphrey Dunphy are true. At last, all his parts have been found, all the recipients have been gathered, but there will be no surgeries here. In spite of the rumors, rebuilding Harlan piece by piece was never the plan. But the Dunphys are putting their son together in the only meaningful way they can. He's here even now. As the Admiral and his wife step into their garden, you hear the voices of many party guests, laughing and talking. There are men and women of all ages. Each wears a name tag, but there are no names on those tags. Today, names are unimportant. Right hand reads the sticker on one man's label. Lapel. Lapel? I should probably say label, right? I don't know. He couldn't be any older than 25. "Let me see," says the Admiral. The man holds out his hand. The Admiral looks over it until he finds a scar between his thumb and forefinger. "I took Harlan out fishing when he was 9. He got that scar trying to gut a trout." And then there's a voice from behind him, another man, a little bit older than the first. I remember," he says. The Admiral smiles. Perhaps the memories are spread out, but they're here, every one of them. He catches the boy who insists on calling himself Emby, milling around at the edge of the garden by himself, wheezing less now that he's finally been put on proper asthma medication. "What are you doing over here?" the Admiral asks. "You should be over with the others." "I don't know anybody." Yes, you do, says the Admiral. You just don't realize it yet. And he leads Emby toward the crowd. Meanwhile, in an airplane graveyard, Connor speaks out to the new arrivals as they stand outside the jet that brought them here. Connor is amazed that they listen to him. He's amazed that he actually commands their respect. He'll never get used to that. You're all here because you were marked for unwinding, but managed to escape. And thanks to the efforts of many people, you found your way here. Will be your new home until you turn 17 and become a legal adult. That's the good news. The bad news is that they all know about us, that they know where we are and what we're doing. They let us stay here because they don't see us as a threat. And then Connor smiles. Well, we're going to change that. As Connor talks, he makes eye contact with every single one of them, making sure he remembers each of their faces, making sure each of them feels recognized, unique, important. Some of you have been through enough, and I just want you to survive to 17, he tells them. I don't blame you, but I know that some of you are already at risk and to end unwinding once and for all. Yeah! Screams a kid from the back, and pumping his fist up in the air and begins chanting, Happy Jack! Happy Jack! A few kids join in till everyone realizes that this is not what Connor wants. The chants quickly die down. We will not be blowing up chop shops, he says. We're not going to feed into their image of us violent kids who are better off unwound. We'll think before we act, and that's going to make it difficult for them. We will infiltrate harvest camps and untie unwinds across the country. We'll free kids from buses before they even arrive. We will have a voice, and we will use it. We will make ourselves heard. Now the crowd can't hold back their cheers, and this time Connor allows it. These kids have been beaten down by life, but there's an energy now in the graveyard that's beginning to feel each and every one of them. Connor remembers that feeling when he had it when he first arrived here. I don't know what happens to our consciousness when we're unwound, says Connor. I don't even know when that consciousness starts, but I do know this. He pauses to make sure they are all listening. We have a right to our lives. The kids go wild. We have a right to choose what happens to our bodies. The cheers have fever pitch. We deserve a world where both things are possible, and it's our job to make that the world. Meanwhile, excitement is also building at the Dunphy Ranch. A buzz of conversation goes around the garden rows near as more and more people connect. Emby shares his experiences with the girl who has a left match to his right lung. A woman talks about a movie she never saw, with a man who remembers the friends he never saw it with. And as the Admiral and his wife watch, something amazing happens. The conversations begin to converge. Like water vapor crystallizing into magnificent, unique form of a snowflake, the babbling voices coalesces into a single conversation. Look over there. He fell off the wall when he was 6. Yes, I remember. We had to wear a wrist brace for 4 months. The wrist still hurts when it rains. He shouldn't have climbed the wall. I had to. I was being chased by a bull. I was so scared. The flowers in that field, do you smell them? They remind me of that one summer when my asthma wasn't so bad, and I felt like I could do anything, and the world was just waiting for me. Admiral grips the wife's arm. Neither can hold back their tears, not tears of sorrow, but of awe. In the rest of the heart were to stop now, in this moment, the Admiral would die more content than any man on earth. He looks at the crowd and says weakly, Harlan? Every eye in the garden turns toward him. A man raises a hand to his throat, touching it gently, and says in a voice that is most definitely Harlan Dunphy's, just a bit older, Dad? The Admiral is a bit overwhelmed by emotion. He cannot speak, so his wife looks at the man before her, at people who beside her, and at the crowd all around her, and she says, Welcome home. 600 miles away in the airplane graveyard, a girl plays a grand piano sheltered beneath the wing of a battered jet that was once in the Air Force. She plays with a rare sort of joy and defiance in her wheelchair, and her sonata lifts the spirits of the new arrivals. She smiles at them as they go and continue to play, making it clear that this furnace of a place full of planes that cannot fly is more than it seems. It is a womb of redemption for every unwind, and for all those who fought the Heartland War and lost, which was everybody. Connor let Risa's music fill him as he watches the new arrivals being greeted by the thousands of kids already there. The sun has begun to set, taking the ridge off the edge of the heat, and the rows of jets at this time of day creating pleasing patterns of shadow on the hard earth. Connor has to smile. Even a place as harsh as this can be beautiful in a certain light. Connor takes it all in. The music, the voices, the desert, and the sky. He has his work cut out for him, changing the world and all. But things are already in motion. All he has to do is keep up with the momentum. And he doesn't have to do it alone. He has Risa, Hayden, and every unwind here. Connor takes a deep breath and releases it along with his tension. At last, he allows himself the wonderful luxury of hope.